I want to have some fun, but drop some truth at the same time. Let's get right to it. Let's talk about those bum men that leech off of women. Bum men that leech off of women. In the future, in this particular episode, we'll refer to them as man bums. I really should call them male bums, because a man is a man and a male is a male. A man or a male is born that way. He didn't have to do anything to become a male. He's born with a penis, so he's a male. But a man, lives on principle, has wisdom, has something going on, and is self-perpetuating through this life. Now, I'm not trying to say that men can't take a fall and get help from a woman. I'm not saying that. But a real man is not going to really let that sit too easy on his soul. You see? So we'll speak about those different things, but I'm going to free flow something right now because it's necessary. There's so many people who have come to me in my inner circle, in my inbox, in my text messages, and said, Lance, please talk about these guys. Now, I'm not throwing off on anybody in particular, but if you happen to fall in the category of a man bum or a male bum, then so be it. Then maybe you need to hear this. Maybe you need to wake up. Maybe there's a young lady out here that needs to play this so that the man bum on the couch can get up and do something, or even have a dream or a vision about something. Let me tell you how it works lots of times. There are different ways, ladies, that you can find yourself in this particular situation where you are taking care of a grown-ass man. I've talked about this before. Every now and then I need to talk about it. Just like every now and then when you have a garden, you need to go around and prune those bushes and take the weeds out. You need meditation, maintenance. I'm going to say, yeah, pruning it out is meditation anyway, right? When you're thinking about other things, you're taking time and doing some spring cleaning. I had something distract me. It was my iPhone here is up on a stand, and something popped up about meditation. I just blurted it out. So we got to wheel it in that way. You know what I'm thinking this way when my mind is thinking so fast? You know, words come out jacked up. But anyway, let me slow it down a bit and get into this topic. Man bums. Usually, ladies, when you meet that man who bedazzles you with words, impresses you with his character, some do, some don't. It doesn't always be where they have to be that great person when you meet them, where you're just so taken aback, but they have something about them that's very attractive. They have something about them that pulls you in. And it's not just that they're so great, but maybe it might be right time for you to be open to something like this. And these man bums can sense that about you, right? Because man bums, they'll try, let's just make up a number. If they could, they'll try 100 different women every day and make them all feel special just so they can get in. And then once they get in, they want to find out what your resources are, but they don't do it so fast. It's almost like the trick that many women will use when they just meet a man and they say, well, how does your wife feel about that? You know, you have kids? First they ask you if you have kids. Well, you can't have children by yourself. And then they say, well, you know, something about the wife, and that guy who's trying to cheat slips and says something. Or now you're boxed into a position where you have to explain where the wife or the mother of the children are. That's a roundabout way of doing it. And that's a good thing to do. Look, male or female, and I'm not just ragging on the men right now, but there's just too much of this activity going on. But male or female, we have hustlers out here. We have hustlers out here that are looking to be taken care of, that are looking to use you for your resources, and they have less and less shame as they come at you. And once they're in position to feel confident enough that, wow, I can get at you. I can get at your bank account, your checking account. I can get at your credit cards. I can get at your assets, your crypto, your investments, your stocks, whatever it may be. When they see that, oh, here comes the love bombing. So you have to really be cool. You have to be like that guy that goes to the club in a beat up car, old car, 20 years old. The rear bumper is held up by 2 coat hangers and it's blowing black smoke. And most gold digging women will say, he's nothing. And they see what you, and make sure you're seen driving up in that and be friendly. Hey ladies, how are you? They'll be like, oh God, I'm not going to waste my time with him. But see, he's smart. So ladies, be careful when you go out. I'm not saying you can't live, but if you have a taste for the finer things in life, and you have some nice handbags, you have some nice heels, you have, some nice jewelry, your nails are done, your toenails are done, you're maintaining yourself to the level that you want. For some women, that's not important. But you're screaming out, hey, I have resources, because if I had nothing at all, I wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't just, you'd have a little scarf on the top of your head. You'd do your own nails and you'd scratch off quick. You know what I mean? There's ways of telling. You might not have a handbag. There's no indication of wealth. There are a lot of women out here who have nice handbags and broke as hell. They may not even have children. You have any children? No, I don't have any children. But you got roaches at home. Like I said, we're going to have fun with this one, right? You got roaches to feed. You got so many roaches at home, you can claim them on your taxes. IRS is like, God, dog, what you mean 2,500 dependents? Yes, and more will be here because they're laying eggs. But seriously, these man bums have a great gift of discernment. And when you see the man bum, the man don't look like a bum. He'll fool you. He will lie. If he's employed or not, he will still shine. And how do man bums shine to the new woman? He gets his shine from another woman who he is ready to leave because he is sucked out, the wrong way, of course. He has sucked her out and she has no more resources left, or he senses that his behind is grasped because she's about to get rid of him. She's tired of him being a do-nothing. And long before, and really not even that, but man bums are always looking for more recruits to use. They never refuse. Shoot, they always try to talk to a woman who looks like she's well-to-do, or any woman, because she might be a hidden gem. She may not have to display anything of wealth or I'm secure, I'm stable, but they love the stable ones. You don't even have to be flashy. If you're a person who just works and comes home, and you're a quiet person, but you got mad bank, you're saving, you're working hard, they love that. Because what? If you're the kind of person that always want to go out to a nice restaurant or even a nightclub or a bar and grill, there's more of a chance that he might get discovered from the other women that he's working on. And if he's at a place that's public like that and you're with him or getting to know him, notice how he might look a little nervous because it's like, oh God, I've tried to talk to hundreds of women since I've been in this city. And man bums really go crazy when they are new to a city because they have no track record. They come from somewhere else where they raised hell and all their stuff is public. Girl, you messing with him? Did I tell you about the girl he was with about 3 years ago? And she threw him out and put all his business out there. And with social media, it's even more evident. And man bums always have some mysterious looking social media. I say, hey, you'll notice, hey, how come you got 3 friends on your page? Those 3 dudes that you grew up with. Because they're not going to tell on you. You can't have the social media from the last 10 or 15 years because you're vulnerable. He's vulnerable and he keeps killing pages. He messes up with one woman and kills a page. He might make a new page with those 3 buddies that he grew up with that has his back to let him know, like, hey, there's another chick that you knew from way back putting comments up. You better delete it. They look out that way. And social media has made it even more shifty for those sharks to navigate who want your resources. So don't believe a Facebook page. You can have more than one Facebook page. And usually they refrain from putting their own picture on their own social media. Why? Because you have that suggested friend amenity on Facebook. You might know this one. Here's some suggested friends. And his face pops up and he doesn't want that because it might be suggested to somebody that he knows in his inner circle that might blow him up. So you have to look for longevity. You have to look for a track record with these kind of guys. In general, not even just those kind. You're not going to pick a bum and say, let me check your track record, but just men in general. Because let me tell you something, ladies. These men, and of course, fellas, don't come in. Well, we got gold diggers up. We know that. We're going to do the gold digger, the female gold digger thing. We're talking about the man bum gold diggers whose goal is to ride your coattail, whose goal is to use up your resources for his benefit and have an easy life. And there's one type of man bum that I want to speak about even more so, right? I want to speak about that man bum who he's about near 50, near 60, near 45, whatever it may be, because different men depending on how they take care of themselves, they have a certain shelf life. If this guy was an alcoholic wino hard all of his life, he ain't gonna last too long as far as, thinking that I need to settle down. See, you get these older guys who they lay dick all over the world. They spray off, spread diseases, make babies, wear themselves down. And now that they got about 3 teeth in their head, they have no work record because they've been jumping from woman to woman. I mean, they got their little part-time job that they had off and on, but it's not going to amount to anything with Social Security. Not that you're depending on that, but they don't have a pension. And it's hard to get a pension these days, right? Because things are changing with the economy. They don't want to do that and commit to you for the rest of your life. But look, you have one, possibly. So why can't he have one? And if he doesn't have one, why doesn't he have a sizable amount of savings, investments, or whatever? What the hell if you're 50 years old? Granted, 18 years old, we'll say you start now, but any enterprising young man has started out before then. But let's take 18 away from 50. What the hell were you doing for 32 years? What? And why don't you have a track record of employment? Didn't you think to make some kind of investments? Don't show me no picture from 1996 when you had that brand new Nissan Maxima. Nobody's trying to see that. So what? Where's the car at? And who would want that car anyway? I mean, yeah, if it runs, look, I'm settled and I'm frugal. I will drive that car. It's valuable to me. I'm not going to pay that much for it. I don't have a car right now either. But I'm not out there on the market like that. Oh, he's 59 years old. He ain't got no car. You don't know what I have and what I'm doing. I live my life, right? But I'm not on the market like that. But what about these guys who put themselves out there, who have nothing to show for it? Because really, these men, when you meet them, they look so brilliant. They look so healthy. They are so well dressed. Their nails are done just right. A male manicure, not some old little semi-gloss, something that might hint at lip gloss and the fingernails done and I don't know, your lip gloss and I don't know. That's kind of suspect. You know what I mean? And you got some who roll like that too. So that's why you got to ask that question. Have you ever messed with men? Do you mess with men? And most men are going to lie and say they don't. They don't want that stigma on them, but they do what they got to do because they can be gold diggers with other men too. But usually when you see a man like this, right, his shine came from another woman that he's not telling you about, that when you met him, he was with her and on his way out. Maybe she was getting ready to kick him out. Maybe she discovered him and gave him enough time, like say, hey, you on the couch for the next 2 weeks, and after that, you out. Either you get a job, get your own place, which you ain't gonna do that in 2 weeks in this economy, right? Or find somebody else or go back. You better call Tyrone. Whatever it takes, do what you got to do. See? So he's looking for somebody else. And usually when he's in a good spot with a woman that he's using, he's still looking for recruits. And see, those are the kind that really get you because he's going to take time with you. See, he's happy where he is, but he's going to get to know you on a light level and never push it. Casually. In the name of something, a hobby or some mutual interest. And you have this text relationship where nothing has to go deeper. Because he's not approaching you on some romantic level or some maybe one day we can be together level. So you take him as this, you fill in the blanks mentally. Because unlike the other guys, he's not pushing up on you. So you'll give him a little more trust. You'll say, hey, I can relax and be myself. And he gives me a compliment. He sweet talks me to a point, but not too much to make you put your guard up and say, he's going to try me. This can go on for 2 or 3 years or until he sees himself on the outs with the woman that's giving him his shine. And he's always going to make sure that you see him at his best. Because when that woman of his at home, the temporary home that he's in, buys him something and he's treating her nice and using her, and telling her and promising her all these things. He's going to make sure when he gets that new outfit bought for him, he's going to come around you or make you see a picture. Oh, I'm sending you a picture, or here's me today at the mall. I was shopping a little bit, but he wants you to see him looking good. So when you think about a man, and even though he's not pushing up on you, it's like, wow, he's a good looking guy, very articulate, and wow. But he's getting his shine from another woman. She's making sure he eats good. She's making sure he's dressed good. But maybe he might be doing a little something to contribute, but she hasn't caught on yet that he's not really into her. He doesn't really want to be seen in public. He's not going to have the both of their faces on social media. I'm here with the love of my life. No, he's not going to do that. Because he knows that people can right-click photos and save them bad boys. So when he changes that profile picture, you're like, what about this? But remember, these men get their shine off of women, and sometimes multiple women. And they might be in a situation where they have a main woman and they have a side woman too, that she thinks that she is the bottom, bitch. And if you don't know what that term is and understand it, I have a blog that I wrote about that. Now, put the link in the description below. Okay. But that's the one who really knows the deal about him. That's the one who came along later on after he established that initial relationship. And she feels that, wow, he would be with me, but he's already established with her. And we have this little thing going on. We have emotions going on. We have the sexual thing going on. And we have the cerebral thing going on. But that man has to make that second woman feel as though there's something exclusive about that relationship that he doesn't have in the original relationship. But guess what? You as the side chick, even though you don't want to call yourself that, you feel you're the main one, and he's going to do things to you on a trust level to make you feel that way. Guess what? He'll cheat on you too. Because if he happens to get kicked out, you're like the safety net, because he can call you up at a moment's notice and you'll be so glad to see him. Come on over, baby. You know it's okay. You know I understand the situation that you're in. I didn't say situation. I said shit-situation. And she has her reasons for wanting to be that side woman anyway. I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. Like, the unwritten rule with that is like, baby, I know you're married. Baby, I know you with somebody. But if you're not with that person and it ends, you coming straight over here to me because you got clothes in your closet of his, right? And that original woman bought those clothes for him. And so that main woman will be like, what happened to that suit? I don't see it. Oh. Remember that day I went over and played basketball by my friends? I left it over there. So now she's noticing. So he's got to go over there and bring it back. So the second chick is like, why are you taking your clothes out of here? That's a red flag. Man bums are very efficient with their space and their time. They're very calculating. They're very smart individuals, but not with a moral standard. They're smart now. They're smart. They're like that roach that you see on the wall, and you pick up your slipper and you go close to it. Like, yeah, I'm going to smash this roach. And you reach back to smash it, and you put your slipper with some force, like you're going to put your fist through the wall, and in the last second, the roach drops. Like, fool, I know what you're about to do to me. So these men are wise beyond reason, and you can be calculating. You ain't going to find no woman's name in his phone that you don't know. All those guys' names there, you think those guys' names are just guys? Some of these guys give their women that they're working on male names. They know. They got to have a good memory. So don't think. But these guys work their way, whether you're the side woman or the main woman or the third woman. And let me tell you something. Some of you women, I'm going to come down on y'all now too. Not all, and I will say a very small percentage. But I remember when I worked in corrections and I had a lot of time to sit in the control room, and everybody's throwing switches and they're talking about what they're going to eat for the day, and you're overhearing people talk about their love life, then they get relaxed around you and start letting it all hang out. There was a dude, I ain't going to put his name out there, but I think he's not with us right now. Unfortunate situation. But, and this is many years ago, this is like 20 years ago when I was overhearing this conversation, and they made sure to blast it out because I was laughing when I heard it. They knew I was listening. And they kind of like that. Yeah, we're putting this business out. But there was this dude who was married. Okay, he was married, like the whole town knew about it, right? But he had a side chick in the jail that worked there as a corrections officer, and everybody knew it. But guess what? There was a second side chick, and a third side chick, and a fourth side chick. He might as well just as move to Ghana and try to have 5 wives. Even though it's not, over here in Ghana, it's not like that. Like it's party time every night. There's a lot more to it than that, whether a person chooses to do that or not. But a lot of people, as a side note, right? A lot of folks will say, yeah, I heard out in Ghana and other African countries, right? Man, you could have 5 wives. I could never do nothing like that. And some of those women who say that, you already in it and don't even know it. You're already swapping spit with 3 or 4 other women or another woman or 2 other women, and you don't even know it. Man come home, act like he's tired from work, and you want to treat him to something. Baby, you ain't got to do nothing nice. It's all about you. I'm going to take care of you. You know what I mean, right? And you don't know that you digesting somebody else's juices. I'm not going to say nothing more than that. So you a lesbian by proxy. You a standing lesbian and don't even know it. You got stuff going down your throat and you standing next to her, this stranger in Walmart the next day, not knowing you drank her juices. Not to be lewd. We have to be realistic. These men are off the chain and they waste your best years and they move on to the next one. Even if you toss them out and they're on the street, you're surprised at how fast they get up on their feet, but you don't know that they had another woman they were working on. And women, you know this. Sisters, you know this. But I know the perception is that there are not as many good men, but that's a daggone lie. There are lots of good brothers out here. I'm the first to say it, and I know. But see, every brother may not have a 6-pack. Every brother may not be hung low to his knee. Every brother may not have a $250,000 in the bank. When you say, well, I don't need that much, him to have that much. It might be less. But at least he has something. They're good, hardworking men out here who are disciplined, who are focused, who when they get into those years of retirement, they have something to offer. They have something not only to add to the pot, hell, they own pots. For real. And you're like, man, I was paranoid trying to vet this guy and he's got, he don't need me for nothing. Well, that's beautiful, but we have to be realistic. Because some of these men will turn around and say, well, she's too hard on me because I ain't have this. And look, some of you guys, you were out there slinging dick all your life and never thought to build something that lasts and stays with you. Let me tell you something. I understand, brother, more than anything else. In my life, the woman has always been my drug. It has always been my intoxicant. I've been a crackhead for women all my life. No. Don't soundbite that and say I've been a crackhead all my life. I'm just saying that has been my struggle, as with most men. And it didn't take much. It was hard for me to say no. I said, listen, I got a girlfriend. Please don't. Hit your hot spot and it's on and popping. Never did crack, never did coke, don't drink. But that has been my weakness. I don't gamble. That has been my weakness. But when you know it is, you do things to protect yourself against that. Not that women are the enemy. No. But if you have a weakness or a propensity to fall into a certain pothole, then you have to step around it. You can't allow yourself to fall like that. So moving along, you have to look at the signs. See, what happened to that old lady? I'm not going to say old lady, but back in the day when we were like young teenagers and you wanted to date somebody and you had to go to their house so they can see you. Young man, that was the first question. Young man, where are you employed? I always say that. They want to see what kind of, before they even know your name, where you work. Before they even know your name, what good family do you come from? If you don't come from a good family, they don't want to hear nothing about you just taking their daughter or granddaughter or their niece to the movies. No. And you better be back on time or you're not going to take them out. And that was the question. So if you weren't enterprising, even as a teenager that hasn't gotten out of high school yet, but it's the summertime and you need to be working. Well, at least if you packing groceries at the local supermarket, okay, you're doing something. You're not sitting around with free time to waste and do nothing at all. See? So this is the way, ladies, you have to be. This is the age of easy deception. It's easy for a man to have 10 different identities. Huh? Not necessarily a fake license and a fake birth certificate or a fake social security card, but just it's easy to carry 10 relationships if that's all you do. And don't settle for less, ladies. Don't settle for just a text. I mean, if you're in another country, you do a little FaceTime. FaceTime them. Why can't we get on FaceTime? I want to see your face. That's what you tell them. Or why is it at certain times of the day? Don't nag them, but, I'd like to, and you notice little things. Don't even nag them because he'll get more deceptive if he's a man bum. But notice that between these hours of 8 and 8 in the morning, you could never FaceTime me. And he says he's single now. Unless you playing the game or mess with the married man, then you know what it entails. And that game will never stop. Okay? That's always going to go on. Right? Attraction. People like, and some men are open, and they're like, okay, this is the deal. Know what you're getting into. So don't get mad when I can't come there around Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's on your birthday. It's your birthday. Go, shorty. It's your birthday. Look, that's part of the game. And I'm going to pause this because Mrs. Scurv is calling me, and I'll be right back.
LanceScurv, I see you in the live chat. Salute, homie. Are you still in Africa, Lance? You moved to Africa.
Sorry for the delay. Miss Scurv calls. I got to go. I'm back, and let me see if I can remember what I was speaking about. I know I was on a good flow, but I believe we were speaking about the married man who had several women, right? The funny part about this is they all knew where they stood, right? Because I know I didn't speak about this. I spoke about this on another show briefly, but it was so funny because the wife knew nothing. She knew nothing at all. But that main side woman worked at a job with him, and the second one behind, the second side chick, the third side chick, and the fourth side chick, they had like an organization. They had it set up with schedules and everything. The side chick was like, I got Friday and Saturday on lock. Friday and Saturday. Now, she might not be able to get that Friday or Saturday because the wife gets it first. But the wife and him weren't really getting along that way. They had a lukewarm situation, and it turned more into an arrangement. It was like a brother and sister relationship. And I don't know, because I don't know the input of the wife because I never heard anything, but it was almost like, sometimes you're with somebody and say, a little satisfied because I don't want certain things no more. My desires have changed. Yeah, we're like brothers and sisters, but there's no interest there. I'm not messing with anybody else, but you have that wife that's just there and she just turns into something else. Doesn't mean you have to be swinging from the ceiling, but that side woman, I hate to say side chick because it's a grown woman, right? And I've known many side chicks who are nice people. Doesn't mean they're evil. Doesn't mean they're trying to break up a household. They just happen to end up in a situation and they have feelings too, and they have needs too. Not even just sexual, but the internal thing, like, the compliments, the feeling of self-worth, or when you're attached to somebody who you think is worth something, right? This is kind of different, but I'm going to go there so I can come right on back. But that main one, the main side chick, she knew the second side chick. They worked together. The third side chick was known by the second and the first one. They worked together. I've never seen nothing like that before in my life. And the fourth one, she had the scraps. It's like seniority. It's like penis seniority. I even said that to them after a while when they knew I knew and they were including me in the conversation. So I was ragging it. I was joking. You know what I mean? So now if one of them had their monthly friend come around, they might work a deal out. Well, okay, I'm serious. I'm trading this day with you, whatever. I'm like, can I ask you ladies something? Now, all of them didn't work in the same area. There were two that worked. The number one, number two worked in the same area. 3 and 4 worked in different areas, but they'd walk around and say hi, and they got along just fine. I'm not saying that I condone this, but this is the way it is. Because remember, I pick up on situations, and people are so easy to talk to me. I'm not going to put nobody's business out there, but I had to talk about this one because I'm not naming names. And I wasn't even doing this back then. I was just drawing pictures. And that situation is probably dissolved by now, like all of it. It's probably like life takes over. People move away, people get pregnant, they get involved with other people, they get married, jealous. Who knows? But that was the situation. And he had his work cut out for him. But I had to ask him, I said, what does this guy have between his legs? It can't be just that you all are giving him this time because of his moral high standing and, virtue. No. What is he doing? They never told. But I know one thing, that in any department, basically what they said indirectly, like, they've never had a man who can cover all bases the way he did. He did this real good. He did that real good. And he had this personality, and I know him. He's a very good looking young man. No homo, but he was well built, kept himself up nice, down to earth personality, very intelligent. So I can see why these women were like, listen, there ain't nothing like this around here. And when some women talked, other ones overheard. And they were going to tell me about how it got to that point where they were like, listen, I don't want to lose that. So I'll tolerate him with someone else, but let me have my time. And they respected each other's time. And again, like on a job, when you have certain days off and you want to switch out, well, I got Monday and Tuesday, and you got Thursday and Friday, but I got something to do on Friday, and maybe we can switch it out where you have an extra Monday, just like that. I was like, God, dog. You know what I mean? I thought I was raised in Little Sand when I was a little younger, but this guy took the cake. Got to give credit where credit's due. Not that we need to credit that, but at least he held it down and made money, and money's not everything. Well, so you mean making money, and all of a sudden he cheating on his wife. I'm saying he wasn't, that's not my situation. It is what it is. I'm just reporting on it, so to say. Right. But getting back to the man bums and how they operate, ladies, look, I've known a lot of ladies that I've sat in beauty parlors with. Like, old girlfriend used to run a beauty parlor. So, of course, I had that proximity to women. And we had some wonderful conversations over several years in that relationship with the proximity. And that's another thing that made me or equipped me to be able to do this, because people are like, how do you have so much stories? Not every story is mine. It could be somebody else's. But imagine, like, you have a setup where I've run beauty parlors. I've had a nice setup in my home years ago where she would bring clients back. We'd sit up and be on the weekend, the holiday time, and we're talking. So this is back in the era when crack was still out. So there were women who knew people who knew people. There might have been women who did certain things, and they were affiliated with that. And we heard some crazy stories, inside stuff. Let me tell you something. These, and it may not pertain to man bums right now, but I remember 2 ladies in the back of my house in that room that I made as a beauty parlor. This is back in the late 80s, probably 89, early 90, right around in there. And they were both pregnant. Pretty much it looked like they were pregnant around the same time, like maybe 6 months, 5 months. You sort of every woman is different. So some women are like, I'm 3 months pregnant and it's stuck out 3 feet. And some women are like, I'm about to drop any minute. You're like, I don't see it. That's just the way it is. But they were sitting next to each other. They were in the dryer. They were talking a little bit before. One of her time in the dryer was over, and he lifted it up, and we lifted the other. And they're talking. And we knew the deal. Me and my old girlfriend knew the deal about what was going on. And one was sitting there and said, yes, oh, my man, he's going to pick me up. And the other one said, yeah, I hope my man picks me up because he's been very busy these days. He said, okay, well, that's the way it is when you have a good man. They both agreed that they had good men. They both were pregnant. They both were speaking about how good the man was and the things that he liked. And, one said, well, my man loves the way I cook curry goat. He loves curry. Girl, my man loves curry goat too. And he says he just loves the way I make it. Now, you know where this is going. they kept with the similarities, and we were like, uh-oh, because we knew from outside sources that they're talking about the same guy, pregnant from the same guy. So I don't think that the guy knew that his other woman, and I don't know how they both felt like that was the main man, like he's my man, but he pulled it off. He had a lot of money, and I think he was involved in that trade of the illegal stuff. So they were happy in the fact that they were well off as far as material goods around them, so that blurred their view on what he might be doing. But you must know that if he's making money that way and he's around and about, and somebody else is around him, he's a couple states over, and she's like, I want to taste something. He's like, oh, go ahead and suck it. And one thing leads to another. Well, anyway, he called, and she said, yeah, baby, I'm ready. I'll be ready in maybe like 15 minutes. And me and my old girlfriend looked at each other, and she pulled me to the side. She said, Lance, go outside and stop him from coming in or telling her that he's outside. And I'll do my best on the inside. So here I am. And this was in the not the wee hours. It's about 12:30 in the morning, holiday time, because she'd take clients like 3, 4 in the morning sometime, like sometimes damn near 24 hours, because in that day and time, there was so much money floating around. This is New York City. And if it was Christmas, New Year's, and they were like, we're going to pay you more to come to get our hair. She's like, okay, come on. And she'd wake up late, or push the early customers, clients back. But it was really like an evening thing. And these women wanted exclusive treatment. So that's why they would come over to our spot, because it wasn't an outright salon as far as a big sign on the street where anybody can walk in. So that made for some great conversations. And I can't remember every single one, but many of them are imprinted in my heart as far as the situation is concerned. Right? So I went outside. The woman got the call. And she's, oh, you're so lucky. Your man is coming to pick you up. I hope mine. He's doing something right now. Yeah, he's doing that other lady, right? So anyway, he showed up. I told him what the deal was. He didn't really know me, but I had to break it down real quick. Like, bruh, listen, you don't know me, but my girlfriend knows a friend of yours, and she kind of told me the deal of what's going on, not to be in your business, bro. He looked at me like, what the hell are you telling me? I said, bottom line. He didn't say that, but he gave me that look. I said, bottom line. I named the names. They're both, He was like, oh, man. Oh, good looking out, brother. Good looking out. It's a nice car he had. It's a nice Benz, a late model. Just looked like it was floating. So I said, listen, she's going to come out, but do not call your other. I'm telling him what to do in his dirt, right? I just don't want to see like war go on. Imagine 2 pregnant ladies in my house fighting, and it gets to be bloodshed. How do I explain that, even though it's not my situation? So I'm the one who likes to have a little peace. Let it not happen here. So I told him. He pulled down the block and parked. I didn't want him right there, just in case the other one said, let me go out and get a breath of fresh air. Thought about all that, man, go down the block. And so I was out there, and when she came out, the first one, she's like, where is he? Why is he parked? I said, well, listen, there's no parking. These fools around here drive crazy. This is a 2-way street, but it's very narrow, and people park in the street. So I told him to go down there, and I'll tell you, oh, okay, thank you so much, Lance, so-and-so. Homeboy hit me off with $100. He shook my hand and put you think I wasn't taking it? I needed it. $100 back then was more $100 than it is now. So anyway, back to the man bums. I'm just going to go down the list. Just shoot from the hip. Ladies, when you meet a man and he's impressive to you, but he's a bit of a mystery, and you may suspect something, or even if you don't suspect anything, this is 2022. This is not like 1975. Woo, I remember. I can go back. I can remember that those days. I was 75. I was like 12 years old. But like I said, go down the list. Make sure he's driving or has a license that you can check. We all got those girlfriends that work in the tag place at a motor vehicle, a place where you have access to computers. Check the license. What is the address on the license? Find out. Find out his resume, his employment history. Call him on the job sometime, briefly. Don't interrupt him all the time. Call him on the job. Find out where he works. You must know these things. Because isn't your love worth it? Isn't your body that you give to him worth it? Aren't your resources worth it? You know, women can be very emotional sometimes. Some men can be too, but women are known to be emotional even when they act cool on the outside. And these guys can kind of manipulate and pull strings. You got to hold them to task. And please don't get caught up and give away the goods and get caught up that way where you start overlooking red flags. You don't want to do that. You know, sometimes you hear fireworks sometimes. It's like, is that really fireworks? Let me hear this again. Okay, it's burning off even. It's not like pop, pop, pop. Yeah, okay. I've forgotten, thought I was in New York City for a second. But anyway, like I was saying, make sure to find out where he lives. There may be an address on that license, but that may not be where he lives. So, you know, don't invite yourself and say, hey, you know, let me drop you home. Or if he's driving and he says he has something to do, spend the day with him. Eventually, he's going to have to go home. Like say, okay, you know, I'm going to spend the day with you and let's go shopping, you know. And he wants to drop you, no, we'll go by your place. Or don't even be so suspect, but you just end up by where he lives. Find out where he lives. And don't trust that thing about, I live with my sister, because that may not be his sister. It may be a sister who will cover for him in his dirt. We have a lot of sisters out here who will allow a brother to do dirt on other women and not have any sympathy. Right? Just find out where they live, the job, the license. Get around their friends and see, you know, not that you want to really be friends with their friends, but if he has any friends, not just those 3 friends that he has on his Facebook page that live in different states, but find out what he was before he met you. What is your world before you met me? You want me and you want to get in my body and you want me to put my mouth on things and you can't show me your life? Then it's not a deal. Don't let these man bums come into your life and mess up your life and take your resources. Because they feel entitled then, especially when they get to a certain level of intimacy and they take you for granted. I knew a guy one time who, I won't say the proximity, but no, he wasn't related to me or anything like that. It was just a friend of mine. He had a situation in his family, and I got to know one of the dudes there, right? And so one day, you know, he's married to this original woman. I'll just say it this way. And then we took a trip through Brooklyn and he pushed the key in the door and went in. I was like, where's this? Because he lived with his wife. And that was it. I'm thinking like, maybe it's his brother's apartment. Maybe he's like out of town or something or whatever. Got up in there and he had a big smirk on his face when he pushed the key into the apartment. People just trust me. You know, I'm not naming no names now, but we got in there. And guess what? I saw pictures of him on the wall with this woman. Pictures of the woman. And he said, make yourself at home. And I'm like, bedazzled. I'm like, make myself at home. Where am I, man? I said, all these pictures of you with this other woman. And he's like, yes, I've been with her for so long. I've been with her longer than I was with my wife, who you know well. And I'm just coming clean with you, Lance, because this is a serious thing. I try not to be confused in this situation, but I'm really in a dilemma. Let's just make up names. Let's just say one was, let's just use some white girl names, right? Trixie and Karen, right? And I'm saying it to say this. Those are just placeholders for the name, because I might slip and make a mistake. But the bottom line was that, well, he told me, he says, I'm in love with both of them. And I love both of them. And I can't see my life without either one of them. But this one here, I've been with her for so long. And I said, well, why didn't you marry her? And it's like, well, it just never happened. It just never. And I met this other one and she doesn't know. And she doesn't know. They don't know. I was like, how do you get around that? You married this other one long after you were with her. How do you get away with that? And he smiled. He said, listen, let me tell you something, Lance. It's hard work. It is hard work. But you know what? I will never, ever be untrue. I'm like, okay, he's saying this about being untrue. Well, he's got to be speaking about one or the other. What do you mean? In his twisted mind, you know what he was thinking? I'll never be untrue. This is what he said. I will never cheat on Karen and Trixie, which is not their real names, right? But I will never cheat on them. Like, they had this agreement. Like, it was the both of the women who were like, yes, we're with you. Now, if that's your deal, then I can roll with that, seeing that's the way it is. But they didn't know about each other. And you're carrying out you have a full-fledged marriage. See, but the thing is that he worked at night. Oh, yeah, I know on those days off when he was off, he worked at night, all right. And the original woman who he was with for a long time, she worked out of state and she came home on a weekend. See? So he had it arranged with his wife now. Her it worked perfect so he could jump between both. And when he wasn't around, it wasn't a bad thing because they weren't around. So I don't know how that story ended up, but I know it went on for years, and I know it wasn't a disaster. I don't know, but I heard some things, but there are men out here who will do things on your watch, on your back, up under your nose, because it's the thrill of the chase. Oh, I already got that one. Let me see if I can get this one. She makes money. Let me see because right now with these guys, it's not even like, I just love the woman or I love women. They're getting, I'm not going to say smart, but they're getting different now. They're different. They're thinking now. They're like, well, if I get something out of her, I don't have to work as hard. I had a dear friend who actually lives out here in Accra, who came from the United States. And she told me, she's like, listen, I was dating this guy. And he just straight out, now he happened to be Ghanaian, and I have to warn people about that too. He just, after a couple of weeks of dating, I want you to buy me a car. Like, what do you mean? You think I'm like an ATM or something like that? Especially in the age group too, when you get to be like your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. You're retired, you're doing what you want to do, and there's a certain smell, a certain scent that you probably have that attracts these guys. But even here in the motherland, many Ghanaian men, they feel that it's a free meal ticket when they see an American woman, and it's gold to them. And in their mind, it's like, wow, I can get stuff out of her. Wow. You know, I'll sweet talk her and get whatever it is that I want. And like I said, it's a game to them. Do you think that you're the only one they're working on? You know, it's hard to say, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? But that's the way it is. It's almost like saying, well, you know, I've had this problem before, and these men are like this. I'm not saying you're doing something, but what you need to do even more, what you're not doing, is vetting these guys when it comes out to be where it's a disaster. You let things go on too far. You gave them a pass. If they want you, they need to commit. If they can't commit and show you everything, then you don't need to lay on your back and show him everything. That's just the way it is. And there's so much more that I have to talk about on this particular topic, but for me, I threw a few things out there so we can get some comments going on. But, you know, ladies, when you get to a certain age, it's not always that way. You could be young and have it going on and guys try to use you. But more and more, we have these broke-ass men who never did anything with their life, and they get to a certain age and they can't swing it no more. It doesn't work no more. Even when they take Viagra, and it don't work no more. They're getting old and broken down. They got no health coverage. They got no pension. They got no money. And they see, and now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. Frank Sinatra, My Way. That's the song there. Google it and play. That's the way they think. That's the way they think. And so they're going to use you because you're going to be the one that takes care of them when they are old. And they're already old, but now before they get old. And they ran out and did all they wanted to do, and now they're coming back at you so you can nurse them to health, or at least some semblance of health. Broke down man bums. Broke down man bums. Get to a certain age, don't have nothing for you to add to the pot or give you a few pots, but they want your resources, and you worked all your life. You saved. You've been through things. You might have been through a prior marriage that almost destroyed you financially, but guess what? You came back from that. You might have got over a sickness that cost a lot of money. There wasn't no man bum around to help you out because he was slinging it with other women. But now you're on your feet like a mother. You got it going on in the pockets, and you still got a little bit going on physically. You got time. You want romance. You want a real man. You want someone who can take you out sometime, who can give you a gift sometime, where you don't have to worry if he's using you, and still he can have all of that and still be using you and running with other women, but at least you don't have to worry about that. Some Negro sitting up on the couch with a big fat pot belly full of the food you cook for him, talking about have a nice day when you go out, or if you're still working and you go to work, have a nice day. And he's there playing Nintendo or PlayStation. That's the way it works. And now you're too embarrassed to even tell your girlfriends that you let this situation develop like this because you didn't follow through on what old Scurv told you about vetting this person. Your life is too precious. You've worked for many decades to get where you are. And if you're not where you want to be, he is not going to help you. He's going to be dead weight. It's not going to help you anyway whatsoever. He's going to drain you as far as your resources, and he's going to drain you as far as your emotional being, your spirit, your soul. Everything will be sucked out, and he'll move right on to the next one. I want to hear, ladies, what you've been through. Even if you say, it's a friend of mine who's been through this, but it's really you and you don't want to say. We know how that goes, and we like to be anonymous here, but I really, 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 really want to hear the horror stories, and we need to speak about that. And it's not being negative, because some of our sisters need to hear these horror stories, because if they don't hear it and take heed and vet some of these men, they're going to end up in the same situation that those other women were in, because I've heard it too. I've heard it. Trust me. There are a lot of broken hearts out here. There are a lot of women who should be living their best life, their best emotional life as they get older. But they work hard on their life and they get a shyster and a man bum like this, and it breaks them down, and they end up lonely saying, I don't want to deal with men no more. I've been through too much. That's quite sad. And this is what angers me, because I see a lot of broken-hearted women out here who are doing quite well. And there are good brothers out here that would love to have someone like that who can handle his own, who's accumulated something in life. But they can't connect with a woman that way because she's so damaged. I'm not saying damaged goods, but damaged for a time. And they're healing, but they're healing slow. And it's like they don't even really want to be bothered through going, well, listen, vet the guy. Vet everybody. Don't cut yourself off. You deserve to live a full life, and don't let these man bums rob your life from you, because they will. They'll leave you out on the curb. They'll leave you in overdraft in your account, sucking down your pension. You done lost your home in the foreclosure. Whatever. I've heard it. It's no joke. For a piece of ding dong, get you a little toy, use your finger, whatever you got to do, but just keep these guys out of your life. Let me hear from you. LanceScurv out. On to the next one. You know I love you. Mwah.